we've got you covered. Health check only on Voice of the People television, where your health has a voice.
News breaks and events happens. We bring you unbiased and explicit information on politics, economy, and state of the nation. We break down the chaos. Facts, not fluff. Truth, not spin. We discuss not just politics, but a glimpse into the future. Voice of the People television. Now you have more than a voice.
From the views on the streets,
we go to bed empty hunger,
to the blaring horns of a hustling city, the loudest voices of the common man got a medium to be heard.
This particular administration, they were coming unprepared.
It's not a bad thing to renovate the president's lodge.
Through top-notch programming, unbiased reportage of news, sports, business, entertainment, and cultural documentaries, Voice of the People 90.3 FM became a symbol for 21st century media. And now, a new baby is born. Voice of the People Television, VOP TV, youthful, full of vigor and penchant for excellence in the continent's media space, exposing the wrongs, applauding the rights, dissecting the news without fear or favor, through factual and accurate stories and contents.
Corruption kills three things that makes a society.
Representing the interests of the people and giving them a voice. Voice of the People TV is here to stay towards building a fair society. VOP TV, Voice of the People Television, truly a voice for the people.
Africa is on the move, a continent of rising voices, untold stories, and powerful transformations. From the streets of Lagos to the heart of Nairobi, from the mines of Congo to the tech labs of Cape Town, the African story is being written every
Hello and welcome to the African News on Voice of the People television. I'm Chioma Innocent. Before we begin, kindly visit our website. It's www.vop.ng for fresh and trending news. And for WhatsApp, the number is 0904-473-2605. Now the news. Chad has closed its eastern border with Sudan following clashes linked to Sudan's civil war, which killed 5 Chadian soldiers over the weekend. The conflict between Sudan's army and the Rapid Support Forces (RSF) has periodically spilled into Chad, causing casualties and damage. The clashes in the border town of Tin involved RSF and militia fighters loyal to Sudan's government, killing 5 soldiers and 3 civilians, with 12 people wounded. Chad's government cited repeated incursions and violations by Sudan's warring parties as the reason for the border closure. The Chadian government also said the move aims to prevent the conflict from spreading further into Chad and to protect civilians, cross-border movements, and suspended with exemptions for humanitarian reasons. In the meantime, Sudan's government has denounced Uganda for hosting Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo, leader of the Paramilitary Rapid Support Forces (RSF), calling the meeting an affront to humanity. The Sudanese Foreign Ministry, aligned with the nation's armed forces, accused Uganda of flouting international law by welcoming Dagalo, whose fighters are accused of committing widespread atrocities in the ongoing civil war. Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni met with Dagalo, also known as Hemeti, at his presidential home in Entebbe at the weekend, emphasizing the need for a peaceful political solution. Museveni, who was appointed by the African Union to mediate between Sudan's military and the RSF, has warned against identity politics and stressed the importance of shared interests. Now, this report indicates that Somalia's Information Minister, Daoud Awais, has announced that 17 al-Shabaab commanders were neutralized over the past 6 months. Awais reaffirmed the government's commitment to counter terrorism in a statement posted on social media platform X. The minister also stated that al-Shabaab terrorists who renounce violence and join rehabilitation programs would be granted amnesty. Al-Shabaab, an al-Qaeda affiliate terror group, has been waging an insurgency against the Somali government for over 16 years, targeting security forces, officials, and civilians. In another development, a family Kasarani, Nairobi, Kenya, is seeking help to repatriate the body of Peter Maina Gakau, a 33-year-old civil servant who was killed in the Russia-Ukraine war. Gakau, stationed at the General Service Unit GSU barracks in Embu, allegedly traveled to Russia to fight in the war while on holiday. While seeking assistance to bring Gakau's body back to Kenya for burial, the family is also questioning how Gakau, a government employee, was able to leave the country for months without the government's knowledge or response to their inquiries. Miner's brother expressed frustration, saying the family wants answers on how he left the country undetected. Moving on, Bellarmine Mugabe, the youngest son of Zimbabwe's late former president Robert Mugabe, has been formally charged with attempted murder in a South African court. The 28-year-old was arrested after a 23-year-old man was shot at a property in Johannesburg's upscale Hyde Park suburb. Bellarmine Mugabe and his bodyguard face additional charges, including defeating the ends of justice related to a missing firearm. Police found bullet cartridges but not gun. The victim remains in critical condition. The case was postponed to March 3 for a bail application. Bellarmine's father, Robert Mugabe, led Zimbabwe for 37 years before being ousted in 2017 and died in 2019. Meanwhile, a civil society group, Activist and Citizens Forum, has called on authorities to handle the attempted murder case linked to Bellarmine Mugabe, son of Robert Mugabe, as a serious criminal matter. The appeal follows Bellarmine Mugabe's arrest and that of another man after a gardener was shot at the Mugabe family home in Hyde Park, Johannesburg. The group spokesperson, Denning Bloem, emphasized that authorities must ensure the accused don't receive preferential treatment, saying justice must be served. The office of suspended First Vice President Dr. Riek Machar has formally questioned the United Nations Department of Safety and Security, UNDSS, over its use of the term former First Vice President in a recent security broadcast. The reference has raised serious legal and political concerns as Machar remains under suspension pending the outcome of his ongoing trial. In a statement, Porkboth Baluang, acting press secretary in the office of the First Vice President and spokesperson for the SPLM-IO, asked if the UN agency was referring to Machar or another individual. The statement requested that UNDSS clarify the basis on which it concluded that Machar had been removed from office if the reference was indeed to him. The controversy stems from a security advisory issued by UNDSS announcing the postponement of Machar's trial, which was scheduled for February 23, 2026. Meanwhile, South Sudan's government has called on Egypt and Sudan to participate in the Cooperative Framework Agreement, CFA, a treaty aimed at ensuring equitable utilization and sustainable management of the Nile River. 7 countries, including Ethiopia, Rwanda, South Sudan, Uganda, Tanzania, and the Democratic Republic of the Congo, have endorsed the CFA, which became effective on October 13, 2024. Egypt and Sudan have not signed the accord, citing concerns that it disproportionately grants rights to the Nile River based on colonial-era treaties. On Sunday, South Sudan's Minister of Water Resources and Irrigation, James Marwich Makwach, urged Egypt, Sudan, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and Kenya to join the agreement, emphasizing the need for cooperative management of the Nile's resources. The CFA aims to promote equitable and reasonable utilization of the Nile River's water resources, with signatory countries committing to cooperate on matters related to the river's management. Elsewhere, Ethiopia and Eritrea are bracing for potential war, with escalating tensions along their shared border in the Tigray region. Landlocked Ethiopia's push for Red Sea access is seen as a provocation by Eritrea, fueling fears of conflict. Ethiopia's Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has framed access to the Red Sea as an existential matter, sparking concerns of military action. Eritrea views this as a threat, and tensions have been exacerbated by alleged border incursions and support for armed groups. Reports say the situation is further complicated by internal divisions within Ethiopia and Eritrea's history of conflict. The international community has urged the escalation and dialogue to prevent a devastating war. You're watching the African News on Voice of the People Television. We're now being joined by public affairs analyst Barrister Darlington Agomo for the analysis segment on the African News this afternoon. Good to have you here. Thank you for joining us.
Afternoon, and how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I hope you are having a good day and you had a good weekend. Now, there's some people who are not having a good day, and they've not had a good day in a very long while. I'm talking about the war that is going on in Sudan. Sudan is not happy that the leader of the Rapid Support Forces was hosted by the Ugandan president, even though the Ugandan president was actually given the mandate by the African Union to bolster peace efforts within the Rapid Support Forces, that's the rebel forces, and the Sudanese government. Although they say they understand that Uganda is trying to mediate, but hosting the rebel leader at the presidential palace sends a wrong signal, and also it also spells infractions to international peace. Is this something you agree with, or will you say Sudanese government is acting on emotion based on the number of people who have unfortunately died as a result of this long drawn-out war?
I agree that the AU asked him to foster peace, but why host a rebel group alone? If you wanted to make peace, are they not supposed to include the Sudanese government? That is one aspect of it. The other aspect is that I don't have issues if somebody is hosting the rebel leader, but it must not be a Uganda president, Yoweri Museveni, who is seen as a C-type president, who is not a good leader, who have been suppressing and intimidating opponents in his country. He is not the ideal candidate to host that peace meeting. It's like two of a kind. No, it's like two of a kind. I don't know what Yoweri is going to preach to a rebel leader when he is an example of a bad government an example of intimidating opponent, an example of destroying democracy and all that. So he's not supposed to be the one to host him. That is just my take. And to host him in his own country home.
Do you think the African Union did not consider if he was the right person or not before giving him the mandate to start working on these peace efforts? I understand when you say he's not supposed to host just the rebel leader, he's supposed to also get officials from Sudan's government. You understand? That is understandable. But saying he's not the right person, what makes him the wrong person?
I just listed why. He's not a peaceful man. Going by what he did to the opponent in the last election in December, I don't think he's the right person. He's a bad influence to good governance. And so hosting a rebel group, I don't know what he's going to tell the rebel leader. In fact, the rebel leader will be surprised to see him hosting him. Because I don't even think that rebel leader has respect for Yoweri Museveni. I don't know of any African who has the respect for Yoweri Museveni. Going by what he did in the last election and what he has been doing to opponents or opposition in Uganda, and how he has been thwarting democracy in Uganda. So, I mean, I've given you more than enough reason why I think he shouldn't be the person. There are other people that are near credibility in Africa, whom the AU would have mandated to host that peace meeting. Yes, there are other people in Africa. The South African man is there, and other leaders you can vote for. So why Yoweri Museveni? That is the question. What is that thing that made the AU to, or he's the one that volunteered to host the peace move, just to clean up his bad image? I'm thinking that he was the one that volunteered to host it. That's what I think here.
But if the African Union saw him as a fit candidate, I mean, if whether he volunteered or not, if he volunteered, the African Union assented to his volunteering. What is important is that peace returns to the country.
Peace cannot return when rebel groups are not dictating the terms. Because I know he went there, he must have given Yoweri Museveni some conditions and all that. That is not my idea of peace. So, left to me, I would have said the Sudanese government should rat them out. Already, the Sudanese government is up in upper hand because the capital, Khartoum, has come back to life. Governance has returned to Khartoum now. And so the rebel group are nowhere to be found. They are now in disarray. This is the time for government to rat them out. And you are talking of peace.
Well, we need to talk about peace because this is the leader of the rebel forces. He's hale and hearty. He can move from one part of the world to another. But women, children, young men, people are suffering due to this war. Let's not even talk about just the mental and psychological effects of this war, but the fact that women are being raped, children are being killed, men are being killed. These people are literally making these incursions. The African Union wants to see to it that peace comes to the nation. If he invites the Sudanese government to the negotiating table or to the peace table, would that make this better?
If I were the Sudanese government, I will not attend that peace move because I have said it. This is an ego.
What if
war.
he had invited them first before inviting the rebel leader? Would that make any difference? Or invited them to sit and face each other?
That's what I'm telling you. I wouldn't go for such a meeting because I didn't see why a rebel group, will be fighting me, the authentic government. What are they even looking for? If they are fighting for a good cause, I'm telling you, I will support them. The whole world will support them. But this is an ego war. Ego. Ego war. And you have killed the women, children. 11 million refugees, the biggest in the whole world. Do you know that Sudan is the worst humanitarian crisis in the whole world? No thanks to this RSF. Look at their name, Rapid Support Force. Is that a group or what? I don't understand. What are they fighting for? That is the question. What are they fighting for? If they are fighting for a good cause, maybe they are being oppressed, they want to free themselves and all that. You know, there must be reason for the fight. But for you to just want to take the government, if you take the government, will any government, any country relate with you as a rebel group? No country, you can't even go international. Nobody will have a relationship, ambassadorial relationship with you. It can never happen. Because you are just a rebel group. And you are not fighting for any known cause, except what? Ego war. You want to be in charge. In charge of what? That is the issue here. So that force, in fact, is the most useless war I've ever seen. Because I didn't see what anybody is fighting. Rapid support force. Who is supporting what? Who called them? So please, the African leaders should call a spade here. Nobody should support any rebel group that is fighting for. It's like these terrorists in Nigeria. Somebody saying that they support them. Support them for what? No, look at it. It's just like these terrorists in Nigeria, these bandits. What are they fighting for 15 years now that they kept Nigerian state busy? What are they fighting for? Can you mention that thing that they are after? Nothing. You can see. So you don't want to call a meeting of such people and ask Tinubu to attend. That would be the worst. So that would be the worst infamy in the history of governance. That's what I'm saying here.
All right, then let's quickly talk about the son of late, or do I say former late or late former president of Zimbabwe, Robert Mugabe, who is in court over the shooting of a gardener at the Mugabe residence in Johannesburg, South Africa. Like, this is literally happening outside the country where his father used to be president. One would wonder the kind of impunity or reckless abandon that would, make him act in that way, where you have a firearm used on someone who is unarmed and who is a gardener. Would we say he was seeing this person beneath him? Or maybe he thought that his late father's power extended beyond the borders of Zimbabwe? Or is it just impunity? Is it just rudeness? Is it just the fact that, I'm the son of a former leader? What could happen?
Well, he will face it.
He is already facing it, actually.
Yes, he's not the only one. That's how they behave. These people that claim they're in authority, they don't see those beneath them as anything. You need to see how they treat them. They treat them as trash. On what ground will you shoot a gardener because you see him as a common gardener? Anyway, the state have come to his defense and you are going to pay. It's a life for a life. Oh. It is a life for a life. No two ways about it. Let nobody come and play a son of a former leader. And so what? You are above the law? No, you must face it. Thank God everybody's eyes is on this matter. He must go in for it.
Now, while we're talking about this particular situation, you know that in South Africa, certain other African countries, including Nigeria, consider some South Africans to be hostile. Sometimes they are like what we call like xenophobic attacks taking place in those kind of places. Is there any, could he have been acting on self-defense,
Who? The son of
the shooter, although his bodyguard is also involved. So it's the whole situation is like, oh, they attacked someone because this is somebody who is rich. His family, for your family to have a family home in another country shows that you have strong ties to that country and you have a very good rapport or a very good relationship with that country to then act in this way.
I don't get it. Was it not a gardener that was shot?
A gardener, yes, it was a gardener.
So you mean the gardener attacked him? I don't get it. Is it not a gardener employed in that house? Where did the gardener get the gun to attack him and all? They are making all these things up, seriously. They are making it up. It's not possible for a gardener employed by you. Why would he attack you? It doesn't add up. They are trying to put up a defense, an alibi, but it will not work. It will not work. A gardener attack you with what? For what reason? It's not possible. They are making it up. Police should go into thorough investigation Unfortunately, the gardener is dead, so nobody to speak for him. And they are trying to attack him with who? Who are many of them? Who are the attackers? Did you report to the police? And you have bodyguard with you? No, it's not possible. They want to cook up a story to cover the atrocity. No, it's not possible.
Seeing as he's the son of a former leader, though late, I mean, this was somebody who ruled Zimbabwe for 37 years. Certain people have come out, CSOs and others have come out to say that he should definitely face the music, and it looks like he is. But do you see anything in the justice system of South Africa or the relationship between both nations to show that he might escape this justice, or maybe he might be taken to Zimbabwe to face the music and then might be let off the hook with a slap on the wrist?
If it is South Africa, the South Africa that I know, the South Africa that went to the government house and pulled out their president, Jacob Zuma, for corruption. In fact, they dragged him out of office, prosecuted him, and even sent him out of ANC as a political party. This is a South Africa that jailed Julius Malema. I mean, this is a South Africa that Ramaphosa had to report things that concern him to government. I mean, there are so many reasons why I believe that justice will be served. Yes, as long as Ramaphosa is in office, I am very, very sure that that guy will go in for murder. He will go in.
The person is actually in critical condition. Let's hope that he doesn't lose his life. Let's now go over to Kenya, where a family in Nairobi is seeking help to repatriate the body of their 33-year-old relative who was killed in the Russia-Ukraine war. He was actually a civil servant in Kenya, and the family is wondering how exactly did he live for a period of time, and the people he was working with did not realize that he was gone, and how did he find himself in Russia to fight? There was actually a young Nigerian man who his family believed had died fighting for Russia, who surfaced in Ukraine. It happened that he was actually abducted or kidnapped by Ukrainian soldiers, and he's trying to find his way home. This is the story of many young African men who were advertised great opportunities in Russia, but then when they got there, they were drafted into the war because they never knew that that's what their maybe travel agent or the person who worked it out for them were taking them there for. Is it that Russia was so desperate to have people to fight for them that they do not mind having people enter the country under the guise of doing legal business or other kind of business to then fight for the country? How did this young man find himself in Ukraine? Do you see anything like trafficking going on here?
Whether it is trafficking or not, why is it that whenever the Western powers want somebody to do their dirty job, they will head to Africa to go and look for somebody who will fit into the bill, either our leaders or citizens? You saw Donald Trump bringing ex-convict into Africa. Now, Vladimir Putin is coming here to shop for poor African youths to go and fight his dirty war in Ukraine. The question is, why should it be so? That is the question. If you have an Africa that has good leaders, will they try this? Why didn't they go to China? They didn't go to China. They didn't go to Indonesia. Not even Saudi Arabia. They didn't go all these places. It is always Africa. Africa. It shows that something is wrong here. Seriously. God had left us long ago because of our bad leaders. There's no other. I won't blame Russia. I will never blame them. I will never blame them because they did not kidnap these people. They came willingly on their own. They put up a proposal and they fell for it. So why would you blame them? If Africa were to be good, who will go and fight in a foreign land in order to earn some money? Is that not what is driving them? Any other thing? After all, the war has nothing to do with Africa. If not for money, what else would drive any African youth to go and fight in that war? They promised them juicy package. So I won't blame anybody. I won't blame them. I will blame the African states that has bad leaders who don't want to make this continent a place to stay, a place to live. One woman was traveling through the Mediterranean Sea and she was rescued. And when the discussion was to take her back, because she was heading for Italy, she said she would rather die in that island than to go back to Africa. I felt bad. Seriously. She would rather die making an attempt to cross over than for her to go back to Africa. That is how bad it is. So when people do certain things, you go and look at the reason behind their action. Go and look at the reason behind their action.
It's a very terrible situation, actually, but still, is there no way we can hold Russia accountable for this? Yes, we understand that they want to win the war, but if you're bringing someone over to fight in the war, you should let them know that this is what is going on. There are certain young African men and women who will still go, even if they understand that they will be going to the front lines, as long as they leave the shores of Africa. But under the guise of work, this one said he was told he was going to work as an engineer. Some people are going there for school and they are being drafted to fight. Is that how it's supposed to be?
Good. Then they gave you gun and fight and force you to go into the battlefield.
You think they were not forced?
Are you serious?
Why
did they say it? Why didn't they say it? Please, Chioma, leave that thing. Why didn't they say they were forced to, just carry them and dump them in the battlefield? Is it possible? No training, no nothing. These are people without any military skill.
They could be held. They could be held to ransom.
No.
And they are Africans. We're already facing racial discrimination, whereby it's like, oh, just be in the front. Let it be that we have the numbers. Do you really think there is no possibility that they will not just give them just a little bit of training and put them at the war front?
So you agreed. You are sentenced to it. Why are you talking now?
Is there no possibility that these people could have been held to ransom? Imagine somebody comes up to you and says, oh, do you want to travel to Russia to work as an engineer? I can sponsor your trip, and when you get there, you work and pay me back. Just like the prostitution rings that we see that happen, where young girls are trafficked to Italy and other countries. They are told, oh, when you get there, you work as a maid or as a cleaner. But when they get there, they are being made to prostitute themselves, and the madams will say, you have to work and pay me back. And these people find themselves in this cycle for many years.
Look, these things they are telling me now is medicine after death. They had the opportunity of saying, no, I want to go back. I want to go. This is not what you promised me. Why couldn't they say so? They have entered into the war. They have collected all the juice. You mean they didn't give them anything? They didn't receive anything, Abi? Is it possible? And they are still there. There are many organizations they can resort to in Russia that can rescue them if I thought they were kidnapped. But I know they were not kidnapped. They accepted the proposal, and now they are saying another thing. I don't think they were, even if that you cannot be forced into the battlefield. You cannot be forced to go and fight. They gave you gun. You didn't, what am I doing with this? This is not what, you drop it and say, nobody will put a gun on your head and say, if you don't fight, we are going to kill you. It can never happen. Never. So they know what they were going for. That is it. Nobody could have forced them to go into the battle, the actual battle.
So you believe that these young African men from Kenya, from Nigeria, and other countries, they are lying about being drafted with lies to Russia?
They are not being sincere. They went for the
They know that you are saying they knew they were going there to fight.
Yes,
but when they went there and saw the reality of war, now they want to come back. So they are lying that they didn't know they were going there to fight.
Exactly. So what are you telling me? They knew what they were going for. It's just that things turned out. They never knew. These are people without a military background. If it were people who went a whole from their military, a different African military, it's okay. They have military skill. They have military background. How do you draft a civilian into? It's not possible now. They knew they wanted to take the risk, and now they discovered that the risk is too much. They are looking for a way out. So let them not tell me that story.
All right, then. We need to continue the African news right here on VOP TV. Barrister Darlington Agomo, thank you so much for joining us and for giving us your own perspective.
My pleasure.
You're still watching the African news on Voice of the People television. When we return, flood in DR Congo's Maniema province leaves over 2,500 households homeless. This and more stories coming your way after this break. Join us again.
What happens in the hush behind hangar doors? Who signs the papers that gamble with lives? Which truths were grounded before they even ever had wings? If you've ever buckled a seatbelt at 30,000 feet, if you've ever stared out of that tiny window and wondered who's really in control of the skies, it isn't just flight, it's power, it's politics, it's pressure sealed in steel. We're peeling back the clouds from runway risks to sky-high secrets. We're diving deep where most dare not to look. Aviation Scope, every Sunday at 7 p.m. only on Voice of the People TV. We don't just report, we reveal. We don't just ask, we uncover. Because when it comes to the skies, ignorance is turbulence. Aviation Scope, the sky isn't the limit, it's just the beginning.
On Edu Dialogue, we bring you fresh ideas and conversations.
Heavy rains in Maniema Province, Democratic Republic of Congo, have caused the Congo River and Ulindi River to overflow, displacing hundreds of residents in the villages of Kasera, Tubila, and Ulindi. The floods have reportedly affected at least 2,533 households, schools, health facilities, and drinking water sources destroyed or submerged. Local authorities and humanitarian organizations are assessing the damage, warning that affected residents may face hunger due to destroyed food plantations and fish ponds. Reports say the floods have exacerbated an already dire situation in the region, with ongoing conflict and mass displacement contributing to food insecurity and health risks. Meanwhile, civil society leader Jean-Claude Ngoy has appealed for support from provincial and national authorities as well as humanitarian actors to address the crisis. In a related development, heavy rains in Zimbabwe have killed 123 people and affected over 250,000 others, according to the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, OCHA. More than 1,300 families have been displaced due to the floods. The rains have caused significant infrastructural damage, leaving 211 bridges in critical condition and damaging over 200 schools and 15 health facilities. OCHA notes that the situation is exacerbated by cholera outbreaks in neighboring Zambia and Mozambique, raising public health concerns. The Zimbabwean government and humanitarian organizations are working to respond to the crisis with efforts focused on providing shelter, safe water, and essential health services to those affected. We take you straight to the world of business, where the South African rand strengthened in early trade on Monday, with investors focusing on the 2026 national budget to be presented later this week. At 6:30, the rand traded at 15.9925 against the dollar, up 0.4% from its previous close. The rand's gain is attributed to a relatively favorable macroeconomic backdrop and anticipation of Finance Minister Enoch Gondongwana's budget speech on Wednesday. Investors are looking for insights into the government's fiscal priorities, debt management strategies, and planned economic reforms. The South African 35 government bond also shows strength, with yields falling 2.5 basis points to 7.97%. Oil Oil producer Capricorn Energy expects higher production in 2026 compared to last year, an expectation driven by the expansion of its Egypt operations. The company forecasts 2026 production in the range of 18 to 22,000 barrels of oil equivalent per day, supported by a joint venture with Chevron Oil and Gas and the Egyptian General Petroleum Corporation, EGPC. The agreement signed in May merges 8 concessions in Egypt into a single deal, expected to boost production and unlock significant contingent resources. Capricorn's Energy CEO, Randy Neely, said the company has entered 2026 with strong momentum underpinned by a robust balance sheet and development opportunities in the merged concession. Now, sports. Algerian club USM Alger has appointed Senegalese coach Lamine Ndiaye as the new head coach until the end of the 2025-2026 season with a possible contract extension. USM Alger disclosed this in a statement, saying the contract extension is hinged on Ndiaye's ability to meet the targets set by the club management. 69-year-old Ndiaye replaces Abdelhak Ben Sheikha, who left the club in January. Ndiaye will lead the team in the CAF Confederation Cup quarterfinal against Maniema next month. The club says it aims to strengthen its technical leadership during this crucial stage. Still in sports, the West African Football Union Zone A, also known as WAFU A, has unveiled a 6-tournament calendar for 2026, featuring the return of the Amilcar Cabral Cup, hosted by Guinea from August 15 to 30. The tournament will bring together WAFU A member nations, focusing on youth and women's football development. The Cabral Cup's revival aims to revitalize competition for local players, with Guinea hosting the inaugural edition. WAFU A Executive Director Mapartha Gaye emphasizes its importance to the region's football identity. The tournament will now be staged biennially, showcasing domestic-based players. And that's all on the African news. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Voice of the People TV and on other social media platforms at VOP TV Live. If you witness news happening near you, we want to hear from you. Send your eyewitness reports, event coverage requests, photos or videos directly via WhatsApp 0814-606-4057. You can also reach our newsroom by email at news@voiceofthepeople.ng. I'm Chioma Innocent.
OPTV. Now, you have more than a voice.
In a world where truth is the ultimate power and opinions scream the loudest, it's time to wade through the noise.
Hunger no get tribe! Hunger no get religion!
And scan the human interest and trending topics that matter. Stay tuned to The Issues, your plug to the stories making the buzz, from politics to science and technology, social justice, and more. Let's tackle the tough questions and expose the truth. The Issues, on Voice of the People Television, Mondays to Fridays, 8 to 9 p.m. The Issues. Don't just react, understand.
In a world where power shifts with every headline.
In a nation full of questions.
In a world filled with noise, the truth needs a voice.
The policies that shapes our world and the economy that determines our future.
Every hour, every day, the grapevine keeps buzzing. And together, we are committed to telling the stories that shape our world, because your voice is our focus.
Don't forget, our voice matters the most. Let us come together and share our concerns.
Do you want your voice to be heard? Do you know that you matter in the scheme of things? The People's Voice, the show where ordinary citizens take center stage as we discuss the biggest stories that affect you and I. With you in mind, we facilitate lively discussions, debates, and interviews on the topics that matter most to you and I, from social justice to economic empowerment, education to healthcare, governance, and more, tackling tough topics and amplifying your voice. Join the conversation and make your voice count. The People's Voice. Make your voice count.